and currently is still so relevant, right? And yes, Katie, I think we can verify with Sharon, but I think it might be available on the sharesuccess.com website, but we'll figure out if not where we can get that from. So, welcome everyone. So we have a uh, a special guest for at least starting out for the first part of today. It's always cool to be able to take advantage of his time, which I'm sure he's super busy as the GM of North America, or at least the U.S. market, and one of the masterminds behind the new enhanced comp plan. Now, he's never going to talk about himself this way, so I will, right? One of the things I love about Isaac is he's a fantastic listener. He wants to solve problems, he wants to understand them, and he is more than ever interested in not just enhancing our comp plan, but the overall goal of how do we become, get on that upward curve again in the US, right? Tons of potential to do that. I believe it's completely possible. There are people who are doing it, right? And when you think about 300 to 400 million people in the US alone, that's just what's recorded. And all of those people, if we look at 90 up to 96% of folks with metabolic issues, we have so many solutions here. So, partnering with this enhanced comp plan, with this GM, the future potential is bright. It's just a matter of perspective and how you're going to take advantage of what is there. So, please welcome to the call Isaac Wilson as he goes over the current enhancements, how things are going, and then answers any questions that you might have.
Thanks, James. Thanks for the intro and good to see all you guys. A lot of familiar names here. Actually, I think I want to come to this call every month because I study our top growers report, and looks like we pretty much have all of them on the call here. So let's make this a monthly thing. And thanks a ton, Natalie, for the invite, and James for that introduction. I am Gate A26 Isaac today on my way to an event in Pennsylvania. But happy to join for this hour and hoping that we can have it be somewhat of a discussion as well. This is not a group I want to just talk at, but would love to hear some of your thoughts on the things that I'm going to share here as we go. Natalie asked me to share what is working from the corporate perspective right now. And I always hesitate to share more than just my observations because I'm talking to a bunch of people who have reached very high levels in doTERRA, but I can tell you what I see, what I'm trying to learn as I'm out at events and talking to people, and and also from insights from inside doTERRA as well. The first thing that jumped out to me as I thought about what's working right now is foundational wellness. So you guys know that we are promoting it like to the max this year, like we've never really maybe promoted any single product line besides essential oils. And we're doing that because the data we're seeing is showing that people who enroll with foundational wellness just have a really high chance of getting on rewards or LRP. So we have, I think the numbers last month were 60% of people who enrolled the prior month were getting on rewards within 1 month of enrolling with foundational wellness. And that number is like down in the 25 to 30 range for other just our normal products. So it's like, it's well over double the odds of getting someone on rewards if you enroll them with the foundational wellness bundle specifically. And so, we're trying to talk about that as much as we can. We have about today 25% of US enrollments come with a foundational wellness product. So, um, it hasn't quite gained the traction, honestly, that I had hoped it would. And that's why we're going to keep educating, keep talking about it. Even on the Diamond Club trip, which Sherry and I were on last week, we had scientist Scott Johnson there talking about the oil story of foundational wellness, which I like know, but then when you like hear him talk about it, you're like, this is an oil story. Like I can remember what I felt. Sherry, you probably felt it there too. And it's like I know we can do a better job of talking about that. And I hope everyone here feels that um, that connection to who we are as doTERRA as well, because it's very alive in the foundational wellness story. So that's one thing that's working. Second thing that I would just give an observation on is, you know, from what I can tell on the leader side, there are several models of building, right? In-person classes, there's online classes, there are, strictly the social media people who are trying to build on Instagram or whatever. And there are a class of people out there doing vendor events as well. And almost every time I talk to someone we're looking at our data and we're like, what's this person doing? When we're asking our team internally, they're like, because they had a lot of enrollments, they're like, they're doing vendor events. And so I have observed that, thinking about that a lot. I know the big question is always, what do you do when you get outside your warm market? And vendor events seems to be one that people who are bringing in a lot of enrollments right now are doing. So that's an observation. And then just one other kind of musing from Isaac, but related very much, I think, to both my job and what you guys are trying to do is something I've noticed inside doTERRA recently with two new hires that we've made, and it has to do with leadership. One is Brittany Myers, who we hired. Some of you might know her. She's now our regional vice president over Northeast region and Central region, and she's awesome. She brings really great energy. I guess like probably Lindsay, you've met her hopefully, and Sherry as well. So one thing she's brought is an incredible sense of perspective, which honestly you guys have as well, done that same thing. We feel a little down sometimes, like our convention, it's not at its peak. Everyone here is coming to convention knows that we had 30,000 people in 2018 or whatever. And she's coming with this incredible perspective, like, guys, guys, like we're gonna have 10,000 people at convention. Like that's unbelievable. Like I'd say it's helped us inside kind of remember what doTERRA is, which is a juggernaut still and an incredible, accomplishment that we're one of these basically 7 US based direct sales companies that have ever touched over $1 billion in revenue, let alone 2 billion. And we're in a great spot in so many ways, and we just have to remember that inside and outside. So that's one reminder. And then the second thing I wanted to call out was we hired the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, and his name's Josh Scott. And Murray has wanted to hire this guy for like 5 years, and he always said Josh Scott is the best technologist like this side of Denver or something, like some very hyperbolic thing. I'm like, okay, this guy's really that good. Like, but we hired him finally. He came in, and I don't know how good he is at technology, but I have seen in 1 month the power of a super transformational leader. Like every meeting this guy's in just makes me want to be better. Every time, he brings up an idea or whatever, you're just like, gosh, like he knows what he has vision. He knows where he wants to take us. And like it's so easy to latch on to that. And so I've been learning from him, trying to apply that as well. I've just seen the power of a visionary leader who also knows what he's talking about. I mean, there's a lot to what he's offering as well. And the other thing I'd say I've learned from him is just like it's all about skill development. As one example, we're all hearing about AI constantly, and he has come in and basically said, yeah, our developers are not developing with AI like they should be, and they're going to, or they're, long term not going to make it here. And so he's just been training them to do that, and immediately we're seeing benefits of that. And he had to have that mindset of like, yeah, we can level up our skills to do that, and he's doing it like right now, and we're already seeing the fruits of it in like 1 month. So that's just been a big it's been a good eye opener for me, and wanted to share that insight with you guys as well, because you're all leading your own teams, and it's just a reminder that there's like this endless runway of becoming a better leader all the time. And I'm trying to do that on the corporate side. We got lots of good people on the corporate side trying to do that, and you guys as well. So
It's super
yeah,
helpful, Isaac, to hear, that corporate perspective. A lot of times, there tends to feel like a kind of a disconnect at times between the two because we kind of operate in different. I hate the word silos, but that's kind of how it is. You're trying to interact, but to really have a fluid, full understanding of what the perspective is on the corporate side. Like, are they really in the trenches with us? Are they really searching for that new, way to adapt or to bring in, new energy, or the same kind of focus, quest, all of that. So anytime that you can bring us an understanding of what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what energy you're seeing in other people in corporate side helps us a lot to feel like, okay, we are on the same team, we're all going in the same direction, we all want the same thing. And even though that sounds like we should just know that, I think it's really good to feel it in a presentation.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for that, James. And I got to give a big shout out to CEO Kirk Jowers on all this because his mindset is like just it's you guys all know Kirk. He's a super positive guy, but he comes in every day like we're just leveling up, we're getting better, we're getting better. I mean, we're interviewing right now like three or four C-suite level people from other companies. Not quite sure where that's going to land. Like trying to Kirk's attitude is like if you find someone good, you get them, you figure out how to get them in. Something you guys all know well, I think. And so, we're kind of like juggling that. It's a great problem to have talking to these people who want to work for doTERRA. They're all really excited and we're seeing, what makes sense there. But Kirk's just brought a great energy that way. So that's kind of thoughts on what's working. I do want to talk about compensation plan. Um, as you mentioned, James, when you teed me up, we are through June and through July at this point, and uh, considering things really successful. 2 months in, of course, it's not perfect, but uh, from my perspective, being a major part of that change, I had to live for a year and a half with the fear of everything imploding or payout going through the moon or so many disaster scenarios that I've mulled over again and again. And those did not play out. July was actually, we grew globally something like 7% USD in July. China had a killer month. Europe did great. Eurasia, Russia market, just a lot of areas doing well. The US actually trended in the right direction in July. Enrollments globally trended the right direction. And that was one of my greatest fears was like, we were just going to see mass loss of enrollers. And that did not seem to be the case. So I feel a great sense of relief. I sleep better personally lately, but also from a company perspective, we're feeling good about it. Just some of the highlights, you might have heard a few of these things, but we had essentially five objectives. Main one was to pay more to early active builders, and we paid the boost to 18,000 people in June, and I think it's going to be about the same in July. So that was a real positive and
And
heard
was
so
that
many great.
global or was that
That was
US?
global.
Oh,
Global. The U.S. is the smallest. Like as a percentage of people boosting, the U.S. is by far the smallest of
but
the
they were
major
also the
markets.
smallest in Power of Three overall, right?
Yeah. Also, we're the smallest in Power Three. So that worked great. Payout came in exactly as we modeled it. Thank goodness. So super happy about that. We were able to pay the extra $1,000 to platinums. Again, that was a bit of a risky proposition because the pools are always floating and you can't exactly pin down what it's going to be, but that came in right where we thought it would, which is great. We saw people transition to the new Power of Three really well, much better than I anticipated, to be honest. I had a fear that we were going to have like 30% of people actually change just because we hadn't got the news to the end of the row or whatever. But we had like 85% of people who earned Power of Three in the 3 months preceding June earned it either at the highest rank they did previously, we use rank internally, the highest level of power of three, or an even higher level of power of three. So that was a great result. I know there are pain points out there probably on some of your teams, so don't want to make it sound like it's all been roses for people, but definitely the numbers show that most people adapted. Rank compression, one of the risk factors there was a loss of volume. It's a great for this group. It's kind of nice. You don't have to place buy-in in certain places. That was part of what we were trying to accomplish there. I kind of hate that our top leaders always have to be, shoring up volume here and there. Like it's just a little bit of the downside of the direct sales model. So we're trying to help that in some ways. And but we didn't see major volume drop. We had 260 people who benefited from rank compression, meaning they had at least one qualifier who was not personally enrolled to them, but lower in their enroller tree. And that was a big win for us. And then lastly, our last objective was to strengthen earning potential for our most actives. So we did that through increasing the empowerment bonus share by roughly $40, which is good for those younger ranks, especially the goal to get multiple shares of that. We wanted that to be over $200 a share, and it was. And then establishing the team growth volume metrics for Unilevel and seeing that roll out was, I think, a big one for doTERRA long term. It's us getting a little more efficient in who we pay, and that's obviously like a sensitive thing, but with the amount of money that we pour into commissions being honestly higher than all of our competitors, like we're paying 40%, Herbalife's paying 32%, USANA's paying like 34%. Like we are high, and that is a great thing to tout for you guys, but it's also like a reality of our financial model that's like Herbalife spending 8% elsewhere that we are putting into our field. And so the more efficient we can get there while making sure we're paying the right people, the better we're going to be long term. So that's really like a long term win from my perspective. So that's how we're viewing comp plan internally. Any questions I can answer about that, or any thoughts from anyone in this group?
Isaac, I just love what the fruits of the comp plan are already showing us. So to me, it's like the fruits are the witness, right? And we're already seeing fruits. And a lot of times the best fruits don't show up for a few, a little while.
Yeah,
It's the law of the harvest because we plant and then we harvest. But all of this to me feels like we've come more in alignment with who we really are, with value for value exchange and that law of the harvest so that things can flow like they're meant to. Love it.
great to hear that. And I agree. I think things like rank compression will play out over years. Like that, I expect the real benefit of that to play, 5-7 years, when people are able to like immediately see, as they're growing, oh, that can work with that person, that's when I think we're going to start to see the benefit of that.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing some of these people that are coming alive with this getting more into alignment. Like,
Yeah.
that's going to be fun. Even more
Yeah.
fun than it already is.
Well, and for people who are coming in that don't know any difference, it's, they're responding to it well. I mean, those of us who've been around a long time, we have to adjust, adapt to change or whatever, and that can always be challenging. I love that there's more platinum action. That's fantastic. Of course, that hits me a little bit as press, but because more people get into the pool, which I think is awesome. So, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think this is timely and exactly what needs to happen as doTERRA continues to grow as a juggernaut, right?
Exactly. And I know we have some people on this call, Matt, Natalie, don't know if we have Amy here. She might catch it later, but there was people here who had other strong opinions about ways we should take the comp plan, and we have not forgotten those. We what I feel like we learned is we can make a change. Now, we just distracted the field for like a year over this whole thing. So I don't want to do that in any way, the same way that we've just done it for 2 decades, if at all. But can we now make some tweaks for improvement, or could we even try maybe some of the more radical ideas on a small scale? I almost immediately want to start moving in that direction. And so I don't want to scare anyone here. Like, we're not going to, like, we are going to focus on product. We are going to not have compensation plan be the focus for a while here. But internally, we're probably going to start. We have a list of things that we're still looking at, including some of the things you guys brought up. And I don't think we're done with finding the right solutions
Well,
that work
yeah,
for
and
you
the
guys.
difference between a major adjustment and micro adjustments, right? Like that's to me,
Yeah,
that's what you do is you take what you've got, you see it's working, and if you can fine tune it, that's a lot less distracting and a lot more easy to adjust to and swallow micro adjustments versus
yeah,
major. Yeah.
And
yeah,
I hope we're all seeing, right? This to me is that willingness to be better, to do more, and that constant like striving, like you were talking about, is happening on the corporate side, Isaac. I think this is another witness of that. Like we're not afraid of looking at it, right? We're
yeah,
willing to do whatever it takes to make doTERRA even better. And I think we all feel that, right? So what a gift to be synced that way.
yeah. And you guys have, I feel the same way on our side. You know, you've been so willing to go with what we felt like we had to do. Super appreciate that. And also willing to come with all of your best ideas along the way, and be patient with us as we consider and reconsider. And we're not going to stop that process. So um, yeah, that's on comp plan then. The other thing I wanted to share just internally that's really good right now is we're kind of quietly going about trying to take that IT leap that we've always needed over the years. And we're not talking about a ton. Those of you who were at the PD trip know I'd mentioned it there. But one thing we're doing that I would like to keep confidential to this group is we are basically replacing the way our website works, without getting into too much detail. And I don't even understand that much. I'm not an IT guy, but basically, you guys know over the years, if you ask for a change to be made for this or that, like even just a button here or whatever, you know, often what you hear is like, that's going to be 8 months or whatever. And that's been the reality for forever. And that is because of the way the system is architected. And with this new CTO, and even before he joined, we had gathered that we had missed the wave of moving away from the architecture that we had to what's called a composable or headless architecture. And so we've made the change basically we've made a pretty big investment to switch to that. And it's such a different type of rollout than we're accustomed to, where normally it would be like a 3-year rollout. I mean, we're pretty well on our way to having a test site ready for one market within a couple of months here. And we're going to roll that out, no change to the front end. So like day one, like you shouldn't notice any change. We're actually talking about Canada being the first market. If any of you are Canadian here, I don't know exactly who we have here, but so a few Canadians will be put on this new experience. And what the benefit it's going to provide is we have this backlog right now of like 50 things we want to do to the website. All of your guys' feedback from the last 5 years that we just haven't been able to get to. Well, the velocity time to get that done is going to go like 20x. So once we get Canada on this new platform, the US will probably be next, and then we'll roll it out fast. And I'm just super excited about it. I know CTO would probably prefer, let's learn from the past as well, not talk about it. So I don't want to promise any timelines or anything, but I just wanted to share that change is happening and the investment has been made. And it's so exciting. And there's like real reason to believe it could actually change, I guess, more than anything. So that's one exciting thing. The other exciting thing, which I know relates to some questions you've asked recently, Natalie, are about a business app that we are working on. We're also kind of keeping it quiet in the background, but working on an app that has some great AI functionality. I mentioned this actually a little bit on the Diamond Club trip last week, so Sherry's heard this, but we just saw a demo already built that, you know, it will show you where you have a gap in your Power of Three structure and who could potentially order to fill that gap and what their last order was and how many days it's been since they've ordered and more information about them. It's kind of like a first foray into AI recommendations. And then that whole world opens up to all sorts of things we can do with it. So I'm personally pretty excited about that. We want to have an app that people go to for their reports, and then also can get push notifications. We can gamify things there. We can do things like make AI recommendations. It's much easier to like hit share a link from an app on mobile as opposed to desktop. So that sort of stuff is all well underway as well. So on the technology side, I would say we're growing up, lots to prove, but I'm pretty optimistic about that. And then maybe
Isaac, just to clarify on that, you see that as helping bridge the gaps that we can bridge with AI with all the data that the back office brings. So uniquely, doTERRA is uniquely capable of bringing that to us.
Yeah.
And then also possibly like a simple onboarding, gamifying onboarding. Tell us just
because
like your vision. We're not going to
yeah.
hold you to it, but just so we're aligned with that.
Yes, yeah, it's an important question because I know we have people here who build their own apps and, you know, want to make sure we're not wasting investment there. My vision for it is a couple of things. One is it's the reporting, it's the place to go to get your reports. I know it would be hard to imagine looking at like the genealogy tree, you know, on a phone, for example, but I think that that's probably just limited to our current how we look at things. Like with a mobile app, I think we can make the reporting experience so much better for that new person joining. So one thing will be reports. Second thing will be the leader rewards program. I don't know, this is actually a separate topic that we're working on as well, but next year we're hoping to solve some of the problems where like basically trying to decide how much to share here, but some people earn Diamond Club trips every year, right? Do you want to go to Oregon 7 years in a row or Birch 7 years in a row? Probably not. Do we want you to do Diamond Club 7 years in a row? I guess maybe not too, because we want you to advance the diamond, but we want you to do those activities, right? So we need to match the rewards to the activities a little better than we do today. And so we have this project that is basically along the lines of Sky Miles, good friend Delta, where you would earn points and you can spend those points the way you want to. So people can get rewarded the way that works for them. And there's all sorts of options there besides just trips. So Natalie, to bring it back to your question, I imagine that being administered through the app, and we can incentivize any behavior we want there. So for example, if someone enrolls, you can earn 5 points for every enrollment and you get a little push notification that says congrats. And if you click on it, it takes you to your reward center where you can spend those points how you want. So I imagine a rewards function being there. How we distinguish that from like LRP rewards is very important, right? We don't want it to get too complicated. And so that's kind of something that's being worked through right now. But that will exist. A CRM would make sense to me to be in the app, but I know that in particular, that's one place. I know from talking to Laura, for example, that there are other investments in those type of areas. So we're going to definitely want to stay in sync, but that would be like a third. The first two priorities are reports and the reward system. And then I can also see it like James, we're always trying to figure out how to better communicate with you guys. And do we pick WhatsApp? Do we pick Telegram? Do we do Facebook? Do we just text people? Like, how do we do this? if we had that in the app and everyone actually had the app, because that's where you get your points and that's where you get your reports, maybe that would be the best place to communicate,
Yeah, for
you know?
sure. I mean, when we talk about communication, which for me is the hot button because it's in my top five, but I mean, I just feel like everything runs better when there's effective communication, right? And regular
Yeah.
communication. I think it's just you pick one place and then you advertise the crap out of that. And then like if the app was the place that you did it and within the app you had a diamond, you had a like whatever, right? And
Yeah.
if you were in that rank, you would, you know, you would have access to that or whatever. But whatever it is that you choose, whether it's WhatsApp or whatever, you just need to pick one. You need to focus. You need to make sure everybody's aware of it and be consistent in that,
Yeah.
and it becomes effective. I watched that with the Goddards, team communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So right for today, that is Team App. And then we have a big community on Facebook that we will address as well, you know, as often as we can. But Team App is the way. And then our plan is to move that to the app
Which
once
just from a
it's ready.
feedback perspective, Team App is clunky.
I know.
It's great
I
for
don't,
just making announcements, but it's not a communication tool
yeah,
really, right?
I
So
know. And we've wrestled with, like, we all basically feel that way too, James. And I don't know what all went into deciding on that back in the day, but it is what it is now. So if we were to switch to something else in the meantime and then to the app, I think that'd just be too much whiplash. So we're sticking with Team App until we have this solution.
okay.
I
Awesome.
mean, just for the people that are on the call that get to weigh in on this, for us, like a WhatsApp change would be like overnight easy. And since we're having such, like Sherry's saying, Team App feels archaic, like I don't know what timeline you're seeing on the app, but can you give us a sense for that? Because to me, it's like if you had massive connection on the team app and that was all working good and everybody's like 98% of the people are like, we're in, that's one thing, but it didn't feel like we were there on the other calls, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I know we don't want to whiplash, but at the same point, right now we don't really have anything effective, so it would be good. I see that John Jensen's trying to do things on Telegram, but Telegram is not quite as, useful as I think WhatsApp. I mean, a lot more people are on WhatsApp and can migrate to that. Telegram gets a little weird. Plus, you get tons of spam on
Yeah.
Telegram. But WhatsApp, I think, would be an easy. But again, the key is make an announcement, target the right people, target the right leaders who then promote that to their teams, saying, here is that. Because like I spend a ton of time in WhatsApp because I have international teams who all use WhatsApp. And because the
Yeah.
Goddards have like 3 or 4 different groups within WhatsApp, and I can go there anytime and find information, data. I don't know. You don't have to be it, but like just to me, it's like it's a great space to get feedback if you promote it and you give access to the people and let them and if they see corporate people responding in there, you'll get more and more traction because they believe this is a place where their voice can have some action.
Yeah.
Can I share something?
Yes.
I think sometimes it becomes, I think one of the reasons why there's multiple communication systems is because every system has different functions that are like their primary function. So you have things that go to YouTube because there's certain functions that YouTube does really well that maybe Team App doesn't offer. So then you got certain things that Team App does really well that you can't do on other apps. And so I think that's part of the reason why things start getting spread out over multiple apps is like because we want the functionality of it and the way of communicating via that particular platform to work with that in that space. I do think like WhatsApp, I haven't used all of WhatsApp's functions, but I do think WhatsApp can do many of the functions that we have a lot of different platforms that doTERRA is using communication wise. And I do think WhatsApp can do that. But I do think it's one where as you're looking at like, where do we put this? I would be honestly really surprised if we could get everything into one communication tool. That would be amazing. I would love it. It would simplify things dramatically, but I just know there's so many things that we're communicating out and it's not just words. Sometimes it's images, sometimes it's videos, sometimes it's links. And so it kind of all changes. And then does it have to be a platform where you need to hear back from people? Like, do you need two-way communication versus one-way communication? So I think it's just one of those things where, like, if we could narrow it to one, I'm all in. I don't know if we can, but I think if you look at the platform that has the most functions, we do things primarily there, and people will go to where everybody is, but I think people don't know where everybody is because everybody isn't in one space. So that's where you get this ambiguity and chaos. Our brain says no to that, and so then you've got people like, I won't even go to these sites, I won't even go to these platforms, but then doTERRA's like, but social media is the best place for us to get that information. But now people are like, I don't go on social media. So it is this really difficult thing. But if we could do 1 to 2, I'll cheer. I'm in.
Yeah, an app would be amazing, but I think WhatsApp is a good place until we figure that out. And like you said, with all that social media stuff, I forget about that because I'm not a big devourer of social media. But if I saw a link in a WhatsApp group to said go to that social, media post or whatever, I would look at that, right? Because I like you said, the more we can get to one place and everyone knows that, hey, if you want to communicate, that's the place to be. I think it would work.
Yeah, I it's great feedback, and I'm also partial to WhatsApp. I think it's the best. Telegram we tried and quickly ditched for the reasons you just gave, James. That was meant to be a sort of test and way too much spam. But Natalie, to your question about timeline, so if the app was like a year out from getting that functionality, it's not a year out from any functionality, just from that functionality, should we move from team app? That's basically the question. And let me also say this. I think one thing I've been kind of in favor of the last couple months is I like this idea of regionalizing the US a little bit more, which sounds like I'm trying to break people up, but I just saw the way that Europe worked so well, where you had the Germans and you had the Romanians and you had the different groups, and they were also tight with each other, but then they had this awesome pan-European connection. And I part of the reason we're doing these regional retreats, like right now, what I'm going to in Northeast, is we want to build that sense of camaraderie. So bringing that back within the region, and then let that spill across regions as well, and of course across teams. And I mean, everyone's always going to have all these connections, but I think if we can build some, like, we are the mountain region, we are the central region kind of pride, I think that would actually be a good thing for the US. So one thought I've had is we get a WhatsApp group for each of the regions, like top, like diamonds and above leaders. And we're just super active in those. So John Jensen has the North America one, and I'm in there too, and Shannon and Kirk or whatever. And we have 5. Part of my concern with just having one is, like, if one leader says one thing, it's going to, like, 2,000 people all of a sudden, and it's not just like a Facebook post that disappears. It's like a conversation playing out on WhatsApp. So you kind of have to keep it smaller. So any thoughts, reactions to that approach of like 5 regional WhatsApp groups?
Well, it's going to depend. Like, here's the thing, somebody who's got a smaller team that, could be more useful and easy to track, right? When you look at size of Goddard team and even our team, which is just one of their legs, like, I'm already trying to track about 10 different WhatsApp groups, right? Which is fine. I like that it's all in WhatsApp, but if we're like, the concern I would have would be that there becomes competition, which maybe there wouldn't be. But what I love about doTERRA has always been, like, the culture is more collaborative than anything I've ever seen before. And we want to keep that collaboration. I feel like the communication in a diamond group and communication in maybe a blue group or a silver group or whatever is already going to segment things enough. Like, I'm going to want to monitor all of those so that I'm kind of in tune with what's going on. So that's already going to segment it. And yes, you might have 2,000 diamonds in there. And again, this will depend on where you set the bar on who gets access to that group, which I think is an important conversation as well, right?
Yeah.
And that would also limit numbers and keep people conversing kind of where they're at, right, in those groups. But if you start to segment between regions, and it's one thing in Europe where there's already linguistic and cultural differences, which you could argue there is kind of in the US as well, but not as dramatic and as defined, right? And so the US is a market that really wants to be cohesive, I think, and is really everyone is focused on making the market go again like it has, and doing it in a shared way, right? Where, when Lindsay's team is killing it on X, right? And we can tap into that, or somebody else over here's team is killing it in X and we can tap into that. If it mainly starts happening in different regions, we may not be as clued into or be able to share in that or get, you know what I mean? Because if you have an overall one and then it's segmented, now it's really hard to track.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair point.
I second that, but I'd like to listen to some of you newer diamonds and hear what you would say there. Because I feel like we do feed off each other. And when we have a bar, like if we had the ones that are hitting now and they've got to be hitting this many times or whatever, and then they get let in the WhatsApp group, then we have that good energy already there. And I was afraid to put everybody in the WhatsApp group. I'll totally admit that. I was like, this could be good. This could be, the opposite of good. It could be hell, And so what was really powerful is that leadership atmosphere, like just our intention with it has kept it safe. And people don't bring their dirty laundry there, right? We talk to your upline,
Yeah, I
talk to
mean,
people
that
individually.
this
That's
one,
not a place for that, right? It doesn't help anybody that way. And
right.
um,
My one comment on that piece
yeah.
right there is the culture within your team helps to feed that, right? What I get concerned about is a diamond Facebook group kind of energy happening when you start to expand that. So your intention and your energy, Nat Goddard's, is I think part of what, because that's fed into your whole team. So I don't know, I could be wrong. It could be a magical thing, but when I already look at places and spaces where everybody goes across the doTERRA spectrum, it can be tricky.
But I'm just wondering if corporate had that same intention on the chat or whatever their intention is, like, hey, this is good, forward thinking, solutions focused conversations happening here. Like, I have no doubt we could create the same thing. And I agree. I think we need a US and then US Diamonds Plus and a global PD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you're going to need someone to really monitor that to begin with, so that that intention of keeping the energy clean, in a sense, right, or high or whatever, right? Like, and I think that's going to be the secret whenever you launch, if you do launch something like this, is to right out of the gate be clear, right?
Yeah.
This post is deleted. This is inappropriate. This is whatever, right? This isn't, so that everybody quickly understands, like, oh, okay, if I want to come here, this is. I come here with solutions. I don't come here to like poo-poo everything. I come to ask a question and I bring a solution, or I'm asking other people with a valid question. What are your thoughts and solutions on this?
I have thoughts. Oh, Megan, go ahead.
I was just going to say clarity is really important. I actually do like the idea of regional groups. Specifically, this might just be me, but most of my team is not near me. So if it's really clear about what the regional groups are for, if it like doTERRA corporate planning or things like that, it might be easier. It also might be an area where you'd have more communication because there's less people. I think whatever it is, as long as there's clarity and people know what these groups are for. I mean, having a WhatsApp group, you can do polls in there if you guys want to know, if you have a national diamond group, then you can start asking things that we're doing in the diamond calls, right? Without needing to be on the calls once a month. So there's, I think, some good pieces of that too, but just really being clear about what they're for and what doTERRA wants from them, I think would help everybody.
So I'll go the opposite way. I I love the US based one just because in every region there's going to be strong teams, and I'd love to have access to that and gain ideas and have that bar raised to inspire. And so I think I understand there's a risk with getting that many people on a social media platform, but I also think there's a chance for great an elevation of standards, elevation of collaboration, and bringing everybody together in all the regions. And, because you could have kind of a dividing up of one of those areas. Just, did you hear what they said? They're doing this. And it'd be just so nice to not have the telephone game where things get lost in translation.
So what if, I think we're like, when I'm thinking about WhatsApp, I'm like, maybe WhatsApp is a great platform for certain levels. And I know this gets us into, like, hear me out before you're like, Lindsay, we already do this. But I think at the younger, like, leader levels and advocate levels, we've got masses of people. And so maybe what is warranted for masses of people is one platform that allows for that massive dialogue or communication, whatever that is. But perhaps that as the higher up you go, it actually shifts to a different platform because you're dealing with, maybe slightly fewer people, and that dialogue also looks different. So what's happening at Diamond and above as a leader, you're working through different issues, you're thinking about different things than your elites, premiers, silvers, right? And so maybe for elites, premiers, and silvers, WhatsApp isn't the right platform for that. Maybe WhatsApp, and then also what that creates is at a certain level, people are like, well, I want to be part of those WhatsApp groups. And so I know if I get to Diamond, that unlocks my ability to enter into those regional groups, leader level groups, and those groups that are based on maybe a specific focus or topic, or conversation that are, is on, whatever comp plan or whatever. Like, we could have certain focuses, but that's really unlocked when you get to a certain level because that dialogue looks different. And so I just think, I don't know that one platform is going to actually meet the need of all of these needs, but I think we can keep it focused at certain levels, or depending on how you want to organize it, that it can be different levels or different platforms. But maybe we look at, like, at these levels, you're in these platforms. This is where we're primarily communicating, or this one. And then when you get to this level, we're shifting now. You're going to shift over into here because this is more interactive and this is more dialogue. So I don't know, maybe even thinking along those types of lines. And that's what I think, Megan, you said, or somebody said, maybe it doesn't have to be either or. Like, what if it can be both, but we have to think about it a little bit differently?
Yeah, great feedback all the way around, and it clarified, I think, a lot of things for me. I think where we need to go is basically what you just said, Lindsay, with I think the app is going to be the best tool for, like, an elite to get a push notification about a promo going live that day, right? So that should be the tool for the masses. And what I'm hearing from this group, and what I am increasingly starting to feel, is that WhatsApp is going to be the best thing for probably rank-based groups that we could split. We can have a group for those with heavy Minnesotan accents. We can however we need to decide, we'll figure that out. So thank you for the feedback on that point. It is a really important one. Sometimes drives me crazy. I'm like, this is not so complicated, we can't figure it out, but it is complicated in some ways. So
We totally see that. And we love seeing your efforts to, like, dial it in and figure it out. So thank you.
Thank you guys for the good feedback. Well, my flight's about to board here, so I'm gonna
You're
have to head,
great.
but
Thank you so much
yeah.
for the time, Isaac. Any last questions for Isaac? Drop them in the chat and he can even text them back to us. So we really appreciate your insights. We're so grateful for your leadership in this North America adventure that we are in and your perspective. It's such a gift to us, and we appreciate your openness to the dialogue and your desire to make things better. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. So great to see everyone. Have a great week.
Okay, fly well, and we'll let you go. Let's bring up anything else as we're wrapping here today on convention. This is our key time. I know Monday night, they did an Empowered Success call on convention, and we just went into some of the top things on convention. And I just wanted to take any questions as questions come up, and then I'm gonna just like bring up screens to share really quick. Can you bring up that PowerPoint and share it?
Natalie, can I ask a question
Yeah.
about convention? Why, and this is me just trying to learn, why do people in doTERRA come to convention?
Well, it used to be different, and everybody weigh in here. And it used to be that product evangelists would come to doTERRA convention because they would learn so much about the product. And then as the economy got a little bit more exciting and everything, I think people just started like titrating expenses. And now more and more, we have all but like 1% are wellness advocates. 99% of convention attendees are wellness advocates, and the majority come to understand the latest product. A lot of those people are sharers. They're not massive builders, right? It has a different tone of leadership, is like silvers and above, or somebody that's almost silver or on their way or engaged that way. And then we focus in more on building efforts. And so convention is more focused on sharing, and they've tried to empowering, I would say, and then sharing on Saturday, getting some of those basic tools in. But that's why we've always added on a training, because when we have people travel in, about every 6 months, it seems to serve to keep sharing what's working and get that from the horse's mouth on people that are really having success.
Yeah, because when I hear certain things, I'm like, oh, interesting. Like somebody made a comment about, the Goddard training on Wednesday. And I think a comment was, well, most people coming have been in the business for a really long time. They're not. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like in my brain, I'm like, so do new people, and I'm talking about generalities, right? Because I'm trying to still learn a little bit. So are the people coming to the convention, they've been around for a while? I mean, I know we have that, but do new people come to convention? Is that a big switch? Is it like it is? Okay.
And everybody else, drop in the chat what your thoughts are here. Totally agree with Haley. They're feeling that, but brand new people come to convention and old people. I think it's both a mix, right? Since we are 17 years old now, like you get 17 years old and everything in between started last month.
I think you're right, though. The shift over the last few years, just with all the different things that have evolved over the last 5, 6 years, is definitely moving more towards people who are engaged in some way in promoting doTERRA, which I think is good, and I like that, because previous to doTERRA in past lives, doing other network marketing, that's primarily what you saw at events were people who were engaged, which is really good because it creates a specific type of energy, camaraderie. It helps you pinpoint like what do you need to serve up at that event, and that constant. It gives another opportunity for connection, which is really important for all of us who are engaged in trying to promote, right, at all levels. So I think that assessment is right.
I totally agree there. Anything else you want to add in? Throw it in the chat. I'll hit on this really quick. We learned from the beginning the power of coming together for that connection. And, you know, you guys did it last year with t-shirts, whatever. However, you're creating that becoming process, like an honoring people's becoming and their belonging, that's where we've always found the magic. And, you know, from, I think this was our second convention that we found different ways of doing that, t-shirts, whatever. That was the way. And I want to bring this conversation to the as diamonds, right? Taking a step back, identifying the needs, setting your intention for this convention experience, and then make a plan involving your leaders, right? Most of what we found along the way is the needs were connected to creating value and building belief. And it was always different things we needed depending on where we were in the developmental stages and where people were in their personal lives, right? And I love that that can take all different shapes and sizes, whether it's a photo on the stairs. Kelly King brought smoothies for her group of 20 that they did on the stairs in the early days. You know, you can do it in all kinds of ways. I love the order out ways. Jared Winger, he's like, I don't want to rent a big space and pay a bunch of money. We're going to meet for a hike up here, and we're going to do the hike, and I'm going to give hugs and pass out water bottles at that point, right? So any shape and size that you're bringing that connection and belonging. I loved these photos that Lindsay shot over. Like, look at the quiet moments that you're grabbing in between sessions, the let's meet here to take a photo before the gala, right? It's all those magic moments. Again, using the t-shirt piece, coming together for a meal, breaking bread together brings people. Laura had some of these, you know, whether it's here or your team's having watch parties at home, right? Whether you're in the suite or not. And then just finding those quiet connecting points. It doesn't have to be fancy. Rux and James, like every year, they go to this park. They have a food truck come to the park on Friday night, right?
We just cater it, but like, yeah, I mean, we've been doing it for a bazillion years, it feels like, and it's, you know, we get 300 to 400 people, whatever, every year, and it's just connection. It's just awesome.
So scale it, you know, like that's how they do it. And then their teams break off as they get big enough, but you'll scale it to meet the needs, right? And sometimes theme it, make it fun, include the oils, whatever serves your team and people. Garrett's are more about like the small intimate connections. So they don't do as many of the big ones, but they are planning all their meals out in a way that they're navigating and maximizing and making sure these leaders are seen and felt. And the photo ops, again, you know, don't leave off the hikes or the simple things. Here's the QR code for this convention gathering planner, which is what we learned in the first few years was really critical for us. And these tips on the bottom, I feel like have been principles that have rang true time and time and time again. Keep the focus on your people. Get to know your newer members, but keep that connection focus. Set the vision and intention like we talked about. You know, for me this year, success is that people feel seen and loved and they feel empowered on what to do next. And that's success. Make sure you're not distracting, that you're talking with your other leaders, that you're doing what's gathering. I have some people that like do stuff in the middle of sessions and I'm like, that's hard because, you know, we can do it in between. There's plenty of in between. Keep it in between so we're not a distraction. And it doesn't have to be my event, your event. Keep it our event as much as you can and just roll with that. Again, it's like growing up. Teams will grow up. Teams will break off, and it's healthy to do that. So allowing for that togetherness, also allowing for the break off. Again, and it doesn't, hey, again, your success doesn't have to look like the a certain thing, right? Don't be attached to what it looks like. Have fun. You don't have to do excessive spending to have fun. And like, do the things that you value. Here's the convention schedule that I set for the week. And I get really clear on what I'm going to do for these lunches and what I'm going to do for, if I'm going to do a breakfast, I'll set in a breakfast and make sure we're maximizing that. Even if it's like meetup, I'll have 6 smoothies delivered, and we'll have this 30 minutes in this specific spot. You can create that in small, you can create great value, and people can feel tons of love in small pockets of time, right? So be able to see that, do that. This is just like one that you can save and make it yours, but it has all the template for everything that's happening this year. Everything that's in purple, right? Dark purple is the doTERRA stuff. Gray is the extra stuff that people can plug into. And like on this one with this QR code, it's a PDF that you can share with people, or an image that's easy to see. And online, this QR code will connect you to all the things, right? This Reimagine Your Business training. I'm so excited for the little conversations that I've had about what's working and what's living. We had a planning meeting the other day, and it was right in the middle of my dad going into critical mode before he passed. And so I missed that moment. But I want you to know that I've seen and heard the conversations, and it is coming together to help us reimagine what's next, right? And going next level. Again, we're keeping those things principle based, yet very real. So as your people come there, they can count on connecting to certain principles, and we'll give a preface at the beginning. Hey, take what serves, take what you're drawn to, leave anything else. May you be inspired into action from this day, right? We are also hosting the Essential Emotions Breakthrough training down the street. We also have this Move with Joe class that night. It's a cool way to release so you can be able to receive for the whole rest of the convention. It's more like a yoga movement meditation experience. And make sure you're offering something or connecting to your upline to have this team party offering. Just coordinate now so your people know, hey, I am loved, I'm cared for, this is happening. The open house on Saturday is open to anyone. When you click on that link, you just RSVP so that we can have enough food for people as they drop in, right? This is very free form. There's no outline of this time together. We try and just connect with people. We sometimes have gifts here so that they can feel seen and loved. And we'll have the court open with swinging happening. We'll have the pool open if people feel like hopping in the pool. Whatever serves. This is an open house style. And then those that are here internationally or sticking around, we go to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the whatever it's called now, music and the spoken word that morning. And it's kind of a cool, just like reset after a week of so many things. So, and we'll do a Temple Square tour there. So hop in and share whatever serves. If you're like, hey, I just want to share this part, share part. Again, just bringing things together so that we can have a clear vision of what's possible. And what matters in the end is that we're becoming and belonging. And I want to invite you to take the time right now as we close up. It's 1:11, and to take a few moments to identify the needs that you feel like are there, set your intention, and then begin on the plan. Okay? If these awesome resources, if you're ever wondering for things like this, these are all in the Empowered Success Library. And we put together templates so we didn't have to do it again and again and again, right? So hopefully that serves you so you don't have to think about it, and you've got a place to start so you can put your energy and invest that in ways that totally work for you. Love you so much. Any other convention questions or anything that's coming up for you? Let's go do this. Love you all. So grateful. Do you know, last week, I'm going to end on this note. Last week, we did an experience that Joe did Move with Joe here. It was amazing. And the whole theme was, how can we create more of a heaven on earth, right? How can we let go of fear, doubt, and worry and connect more to who we really are? And I just love that doTERRA is such a powerful way to help people create more of a heaven on earth. That these gifts of the earth, that these plants, that these wellness tools that we have in our hands that are so powerful can help our bodies, our minds, our emotions, our spirits just up level when we tap into these incredible gifts. So the work that we're about, it's so useful. It's making a difference, even in the context of bigger, larger things, as Roxanne and I are letting our dad go on and moving through all these things. I just come back to the meaningfulness of what we're doing and the difference that it's making for people. So keep it up. Love you so much. New things are breaking through all the time. I cannot wait for some of the little treasures that you're going to get at convention. You're going to love them. I keep this one right here because I'm like, I love it so much. It's happening all the time for me now. And it's not going to be overpowering. This convention is going to be just right. Focused and just right. Love y'all. See you. Nothing in September. We'll see you in October.